Hi everybody, thanks to all for being here today with us. My name is Juan. We are MTA students from Bilbao. Today is a great day. We have the pleasure to come with an expert of leadership, Trent Clark. Before giving the welcoming to Trent, please mute your microphones. All the questions that you have, write them during the webinar on the chat, and they will be answered at the end. Thanks again to all of you, and obviously to Trent to stay with us. Now is the moment. How are you, Trent?
I'm good, Juan. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be joining everyone in Spain and talk a little bit about leadership. And today is no different. We're going to talk a little bit about how you know you have a great team. I want to first of all thank Riven, the team over at MTA. I'm excited about these young kids, these student entrepreneurs, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them as we go today, but super excited. So what I will do to start is I will share my screen. I've got a deck that we're just going to run through today, talk a little bit. We'll have some questions at the end for everybody. You will have time to do that for sure. So happy to get going here. So how do you know you have a great team? So let's talk about that. First of all, for me, Juan did mention me very quickly. I am the CEO of Leadershipity, where we develop a lot of leaders. I am a serial entrepreneur. I've started 12 different companies. I am a longtime coach in professional baseball, coaching in 3 World Series. And I am an international speaker that has spoke in more than 15 different countries. So I'm excited about being in Spain for these workshops because I've never been to Spain. So I'll be adding, now another country that I've been into. So super excited about joining you. I am a husband of 26 years. I have 5 children ranging from 23 years old down to 9. And so our house is pretty busy. We have currently 3 companies going on and are very active today. We consult a lot of leaders and teams and organizations on how they can be better and team development. So first, let's talk about the champion mindset. What most people don't know about me is that I started in sports at a very young age. My high school team went to our state championship 3 years in a row, which had never been done before in the game of baseball. And then my next 2 years, I played in the national championships for tennis. And then I went on to another university to coach, competing for titles, and then went on to professional baseball, where we competed for the World Series every year. All 12 years I was in, all 12 seasons I was involved, and we ended up in that World Series 3 times. So have a very set of kind of way to like, hey, how do we really improve to be the winner of this organization, to be the winner of this league, to be the winner of how we're going to do things and create that organization. And what I will say, the one constant we all need in this is people. That's really the big deal. So we have our free webinar today. I hope you'll join us again. We will have another webinar on the 28th of May. You will see in the chat here in a little bit, you will have a link to that on how you can sign up on the LinkedIn event page there. And we'd love to have you join us. You will see some great sponsors that are involved with our workshops that are coming to Spain. We have a sponsors from, 1 second. I'm just going to mute everyone here. 1 second. So one thing you will see from your sponsors is you will see that we have Mondragon University, which is awesome. We have Oxford Notebooks. We're really excited about them joining and providing a bunch of great content. Journeys is a software that we use with Leadershipity. We use them all the time. They create a one-stop for all these softwares that we use in business, culminating them all in one place. We use them for productivity all the time and for tracking and individual coaching. They are a customized group that does a lot of great work. So we love Journeys, team engagement, and visibility for you and your whole team. And we run data-driven operations on there, which is all about driving that data that we get in, and we collect the data as opposed to giving it to some other software company. So very important. Love Journeys. For the event that's coming up, June, we'll be hosting 3 cities. We'll be in Madrid first, June 22nd and 23rd, and in Bilbao next in Basque Country. And of course, then finally in Barcelona, and we'll have VIP events in each city on the first night we're in town. So you are welcome to join us and get involved. So please come aboard and learn about how to win with great teams. And so the thing of today we're going to talk about is the challenge of how will I know I have a great team? And that's so crucial for us to see and understand, like, oh, can I see that? What's the measure that I actually have a great team? So there's a couple things that we look at when we look at teams, and we're always measuring, and we'll just cover a number of them today, but this won't be comprehensive because we don't have all the time. But asking yourself, hey, do I have this on my team? The first thing I love about leaders is for your team, you become that key voice. And this is a view from an interview with Sadhguru back in India in 2015. Sadhguru is just one of the wise men of the East. We love him. He's got great content. And he's asked, like, hey, why do I need a coach? Why do we need gurus? Why do I need Sadhguru to tell me how are things? And he, of all things, went to the GPS, right? That little machine now, that little global positioning system that helps us from getting lost. And now we have them built into our phones. We have them everywhere we go, and they're absolutely crucial for us. And my wife is great. She can't find the grocery store, which is 2 blocks away. So she turns on the GPS and it always directs her in the right direction. She's a little geographically challenged. And so I love it because I go into all these different cities, and I have this lovely British woman who directs me into traffic, and she says, go left. And I go left because I do what she says when I'm in these towns. I don't know where I'm going. I am in unfamiliar terrain. As leaders, we are in unfamiliar terrain all the time. This last year of a pandemic and the world changing and everything becoming different on how we're going to lead our teams, how we're going to work together, that's all changed. And so now we have to look at, hey, we're in unfamiliar terrain all the time. Well, when you're in unfamiliar terrain, it is sensible to follow instructions. That was the key message of Sadhguru. And that's why that GPS became so important for us. When you are in an unfamiliar terrain, it is sensible to take instructions from someone who knows. I follow this British voice, and I love her because she gets me where I want to go. And I trust it. I trust the system. Your teams are looking at you to be that trusted voice right now. As a leader, and you're putting these organizations together, and you've got people moving, and you've got a bunch of unfamiliar terrain for everybody, they are listening for a voice, and you are often that voice of GPS to give them direction on how they go. So that's so important as we develop this and your leadership. Today, as we talk about how will I know? How you know when you have a great team. We're going to talk about the Bill Belichick check. We're going to talk about scouting costs, the rule of 7, teams of coachable champions, and know your measure. So let's get into this, the Bill Belichick check. All right, so who is Bill Belichick? Bill Belichick, if you do not know, is a famous coach here in America. He coaches in the NFL, the National Football League, and he coaches the New England Patriots. And he's been coaching Tom Brady for over 20 years until Tom Brady left for Tampa. But they won 6 championships together. And Coach Belichick is well known, having coached other NFL teams as well, as a dean or one of the wisest coaches in the league. And when he was asked, how do you know you have a great team? He said, oh, that's easy. I will know when we have a good team when everyone in the whole organization knows their job and they're doing it. So that's a big deal. They know their job. I mean, this is everybody from the janitorial service to the phone service to the ticket takers to the people setting up the field and organizing the field maintenance to the players themselves and the coaches and the executive staff who are trading and navigating the business side of the organization. Those are all so critical. We all have different roles in organizations. So are they clearly defined in your organization? Are your roles for every player in your organization clearly defined? That's going to be a big one. Are ranking and measuring contributions based on the responsibilities of the roles for each person? Are you doing that today? Are you measuring that? Um, we want to know how many organizations I see doing this well. Trent, you go into all these organizations. How many do you see doing it well? Not many. Not many have great teams, because all the time I go into organizations and many of the players don't know their role. They don't know what they were hired for. Things have shifted and their roles have changed, but they weren't informed that their roles are now different. They haven't been trained up to do the role that they're in, and they're not doing it well. Many employees and personnel and players on your organization and team aren't owning their responsibilities. They're not doing their role, even if they know it. They're choosing, like, oh, I don't like that part of my role, so I don't think I'm going to be doing it. Like, well, wait a minute. We pay you to do it. So how's that going to work? So I'd ask yourself, reflect on that. Are we doing this well? Does everyone in my organization know their role? Are they trained up in all those things so they can do their role well? And now that they're prepared, are they actually doing it? So those are some key questions to be asking yourself. Let's talk about the draft. This just happened here in the United States. We had the big draft for the NFL, the National Football League, and another draft is coming up here as the hockey draft is going to come soon, and that's exciting. And the Major League Baseball draft is coming up. So we draft players into our organization, and we say, "Wow, they're great," and athletes get paid tons of money, millions of dollars in this draft, and so the draft becomes a spectacle to watch as people look at that. But as you look at your teams, let's talk about great teams investing in getting the right players. Are you investing in getting the right players? What is your strategy? What's your strategy? Every team and every organization has a strategy for how they'll get the right players. Who do we really need in our organization? Someone's left your organization and we need someone else to fill that role. And we may change that now based on what we learned from the last person on different things we might be looking for that person to be successful in that role. But what is your strategy for getting those players? So what are our best returns coming from? Where are you advertising to get the best players? What is your best strategy and where you're getting the best return? Are you super agile? Like, are you finding players that winners find a way? Are you finding super agile players? Like, they have collective work that's towards the focused items. Are all of our roles very clear on that we're getting that? Are we getting lifelong learners into our organization? People that are willing to learn and adapt and be trained up for the roles that they're going to be put in? Are they willing? Are they interested in that? Feedback is formidable. Can they take it? It's going to be important along the way to give them good feedback, to keep giving them your direction and your guidance, that voice of GPS. When they hear those directions, can they follow it? Will they follow the directions? Or do they turn that machine off and go, hey, I'll figure it out. I may drive around for 2 hours, but I'm going to figure it out and eventually get to where I want to go. Not very efficient. Opportunities exist always into a market. In a market where there's a lot of people available, great opportunities. Even when the market is low, there are still opportunities that exist, like being partnership with other firms and how you can maximize talent. There's lots of different ways. Keep an open mind on how you can better your team. The entrepreneurial mentality, having people that understand the business side of your organization, understand how the organization makes money, how I contribute to make our organization stronger and more sustainable. If everyone contributes to the organization getting better, the organization's in higher demand, and then you need more people, you need greater. If people aren't contributing in their individual role, it leaves gap, it leaves your organization at risk. And all of a sudden, people may think less of your organization, costing you business, costing you the chance to work with other people, costing you the chance to get more calls in to do work for them and work for them. So then you have to cut players because you don't have enough work to support all the people in your organization. So it's so crucial that each person understands that entrepreneurial mentality, the urgent, things happen fast, opportunistic, what the team needs, how do we become successful together, and how I become that impact in my role that serves the team. Prioritization by importance. Are we getting our players that understand priority? And then lastly, your search for the best players is now a 24/7 world. The world's watching. You have lots of different mediums that can work any time of the day that someone can find out that you have opportunity in your group to add a player, and you never know where those great players will come from. So you have an ability to maximize that from a marketing. In professional sports, we just spent so much money on scouting and recruiting talent and looking at all these players. And there are just hundreds and thousands of players around the country, and only a few are selected. So it's a very challenging job to find the best. And people are wrong all the time. They choose players that aren't a great fit, but we put tons of investment. So let's talk about your investment into your organization. What percent of your payroll costs are going to getting the right people? It's one thing to spend money once you have them in, but how much cost am I spending to get the right people on my team? Recruiters and headhunters are a great example. They're often a high dollar cost, but they're very specific. They're paid on productivity of getting you the best players. Many organizations use them. Other organizations will just use online job sites, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, all web-based people finding job application boards that are available to the public, and you can post jobs for a fee. It's a much lower cost than finding a recruiter, but you have to do a lot of the back work to decide if this person is a fit for your organization. So another way to spend and another option. The other ones are referrals and inside marketing efforts. Many organizations are getting referrals from their customers, their vendors, even their fellow employees. Sometimes their fellow employees are incentivized to bring other friends, things they know people they know that would come into the organization and be a great contributor. So what is your strategy around that investment? How much are you willing to spend? That's a crucial deal. I don't need the best players. I need the right players. Herb Brooks said that. He was our 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey coach here in the United States that had this amazing victory over a bunch of professional players from the Eastern Bloc and beating ultimately the Soviet Union in the semifinal, the world powerhouse at that time, and then Finland in the finals. And a bunch of young, very much kids, like these revenge kids, young, that were inexperienced, that had a deep desire to succeed, just like these young entrepreneurs. But they didn't have all those experiences that all the pro players had. And that coach knew, I think I can compete with the pro players with the right strategy and the right system, but I don't need the best players that will play as individuals. I need the right players that will work together and create better for us good. And I just listed a couple things of the things that we were looking at when we were looking for players. And when you look at this, I mean, all the things that we're looking for, from emotional intelligence to their experience, to their work performance, to their family foundation, to their resourcefulness, to their attitudes, to their adaptability, all these skills. And none of these have anything to do with running fast, hitting the ball, throwing the ball, all the skills needed, because that was already a prerequisite that we knew we had to have. They had to have the skill. Now, what are all some of these other things we're looking at for our organization? You building strategy around what's important to you and your organization becomes crucial to how you might succeed. I love the 10 things that require no skill. I require this in my organization. If you're going to come work for Leadershipity or one of our companies, these are the things that require no skills. They do not require a college degree. They don't require you to run fast. They don't require you to be a brilliant mind and ultra intelligent. They require nothing more than effort. They require nothing more than some conscientious, thoughtful process of how I become a better team, and a willingness to work at it, a willingness to be on time, to have a great work ethic, show effort, be prepared, body language, energy, a great attitude, have passion, being coachable, doing the extra. I mean, all those things, they take no skill. So what kind of requirements do you have in your strategy? I like to talk about great teammates. And when we talk about great teams, often great teams are surrounded like, oh, we've got these great leaders. Oh, that's awesome. But great leaders also at one time were great followers. They learned how to be good followers. So when they led, they would know how to lead well. And good followers, it's very easy to be a good follower of a great leader. That's actually pretty easy. Can I be a good follower of a leader that's not so great? Can I be a great teammate? Like, that's a question. We learn that along the way. But we have to have that attitude of, I will follow. I will do what's necessary. So how do I contribute to a winning team? As we look at, do we have these players? When you know you have a great team, you will have these kind of players in your organization. I call them cards. They are a player with coachability, a person in your organization that takes feedback and learn. They have adaptability. They're physically and mentally prepared to adapt. Things will change. They're prepared for it. They've thought through it. They're ready for that. They have responsibility. They know their role and they take ownership of their responsibilities. Those are so crucial. And then lastly, they do that time and time again. And so they create consistency, and that creates dependability for you. And we know that we have these people in our organizations as leaders, because when we look at leaders and our teams, we go, wow, I love that person on my team. I always know when I give that to them, any responsibility, I know they're going to do it. I know they're going to do their best, and it's going to come out just fine. And what we find ourselves is leaning responsibilities towards that person because of that trust and dependability that we have in them. And when you have a bunch of people around you like that, that's like in a card game, in the game of cards, that's a great hand. Because if you have all these aces around you, you're going to win. You're going to win all the time. And that's what we want to create as leaders. So do you have that? You will know you've got a great team when you have all the aces, great cards. What do we get from that? You know, when we have the great cards, you never know what the opportunity brings when you have great cards. You have a chance to increase your skill set, create more opportunity in the organization. As you work at it, and you must work at it, you learn, it gives your best effort. My best effort always serves. And then when we have all these teammates, they have more to offer. So they become more desirable in the workplace. They become more desirable for your vendors, more desirable for your customers to work with them again and more, because they become trusted and they become dependable. So critical. Let's talk about the rule of 7. An investment in learning from my team should yield a return of 7x. Well, Coach Trent, what does that mean? Well, so if you're investing $10,000 or 10,000 euro into your organization for learning, your organization should return $70,000 or 70,000 euro in savings, increase in business, increase in productivity, less turnover, better process, all these things that you can equate from those learnings and the training of your people, you should get. You should reap those investments. So be cautious about where you spend those investments. But as we come and ask you to come to our workshop, when you invest in your time with us, we expect that you're going to get a 7-time return on that. You're going to get a value at minimum that's going to return that kind of return for you. And in an 8 time in ours currently, that's about €2,000. By me coming, will I save €2,000 over the next time, or increase my business, or have less turnover, have less training? Of course you will. What you will get, that will be an easy return on investment of your time spent with us, for sure. So when I look at my teams, hey, as I look at these groups, I'm asking the questions on people. Can they review information quickly? Can they learn from it? Are they adaptable? So crucial. Do they enjoy and appreciate feedback? Do they hyper learn with each other? Like peer learning, can they go faster in their learning by utilizing teammates that are also wise? Do they listen well? Do they ask impactful questions? Can they discern high quality information and advice? Can they prioritize? And then lastly, practice, practice, practice. Will they keep putting their learnings into practice until they can execute it even better? Execute, execute, execute. We're so good in our environment of learning and then not taking that information and practicing it, not applying it, not executing on that information. Reading a book is one thing. Taking that information and then going out and applying it is a total different thing that's required. So in your organization, are you creating an organization of coachable champions, a team of coachable champions? If I have all these people that have these skills that are very coachable, and now we have you as a leader providing that GPS, that voice, you create this organization of coachable champions, and the leaders continue to coach up these folks because they enjoy and they appreciate the feedback and they get better, and you're investing in their learning and things continue to progress. And that is a great environment for organizations. And I realize that this isn't what you went to university for. This isn't what my specific study for. I studied engineering. I studied education. I studied accounting. Whatever it may be, I get that you have a super skill, but these skills that you're going to need of coaching are critical in the success and sustainability of your organization. So be exceptional. I love this quote. Don't just go the extra mile, build your house on it. I have had the pleasure of working with a lot of top performers, top athletes in the world, top executives, and I've been to a number of their homes, and every one of them, their high performers, have always sacrificed things and gone the extra mile for other people, for their organization, for the goal, for their purpose. They're willing to do it. They're always the folks that say, I will. Who's going to do this? I will. I will do it. They'll take on that responsibility and they'll take ownership. They are willing to go that. Now, because they continue to go the extra mile, they live out there. They're constantly going the extra mile. So that's where they've built their homes. And I've noticed their homes are always massive. they're beautiful homes. Sometimes there's many of them because the most successful people in the world live out there. They live in the extra mile. So it's a great vision on what that might look like. When we talk about our teams, we know you'll have successful teams when you have all your team members, they contribute. And your team members create impact in their role, whatever role it is, right? If you have the best mail person, if you have the best janitorial service, I have a business in the real estate and I have one of the best cleaning services, and our real estate guests constantly comment about our service, about how clean our facilities and our homes and our places that people go are. And it is without a doubt impactful. It's impactful for our referrals. It's impactful for our network. People post about it socially. There's all sorts of great content and feedback that we get to utilize from that. Lastly, we have a system of measure. And you should have a system of measure like, hey, are we a great team? Here's some of the things that we use and often refer. The grit formula. I love the grit formula. If you're not familiar with it, we're going to talk about it in the workshop. But that is a measure that is a great self-assessment. and a self-assessment from the manager or the direct boss of someone. How are these folks showing up on potential achievement? Where are they at right now? That's crucial. Top grading. That's a great book out of a group out of Chicago. Ranking your people A, B, C, D. What do I have? Do I have A players? Do I have B players? Do I have C players? Do I have D? A's and B's are always in the top quadrant. C's or D's are in the lower quadrant. Quick instruction is you get rid of the lower quadrant on CDs, and we'll talk about that in our workshop. Internal rankings for team members. In pro sports, we often have what we call a depth chart of, hey, here's Juan Garcia. He's our starting forward or our starting striker. And now I have Pablo, he's our second, and Alex is our third. We have a depth chart of our players that can possibly play in that position. We know who our primary and our first is, but if anything happens, what we might do, or if I have to shift Juan from a striker into a forward position, can I put Pablo in and have him be successful? He's our number 2. So we look at that, and we always have running depth charts of our personnel and how we're utilizing our personnel to their strengths. We want to put them in a position of success. So we look at that. So internal rankings for your team members. Do you have that? Do you have a grade and a score, a consistent grading or scoring for your team members on every quarter? How are you doing in your role? Are you improving? What's the number? If I was an 82 last quarter, can I be an 85 this quarter? Am I improving? I don't want to see my folks going backwards. You're an 82 and now I think you're a 75 and now you're a 65, because that's showing us clearly you may not be motivated to work here, or we're not educating you well enough, or we have a role you in a role that you can't be successful in. And we're challenged by that, but we want to have visibility on that scoring. And I want my team members to get the feedback on, how do I get better? How do I improve? And lastly, a lot of folks don't understand as they join that organization, but whatever role they're in, that is the only thing they'll be measured on. And often people feel like, oh, I could be a great vice president in this organization, but I'm currently in an entry role, but I see myself as the vice president one day. And that's awesome. That's great. But you're not measured on the skills you have as a vice president. You're measured on that role you're in today. And when you do that role really well, they go, wow, you just mastered this role. We think you can master the next role, which involves this and other things, from the local manager to the district manager and to the regional manager and to the national manager, and then to the super regional manager, like a continent manager for Europe or North America, or how that looks. Like, that's how we do it. But if you're a bad district manager, it's unlikely that they go, oh, I know you're terrible at being a district manager, but we think you'll be a great regional manager, even though your district is failing horribly. That doesn't make any sense to anybody. So it's the only thing that can be measured for people. You have to be the best you can be right where you're at. All right. And final, let's how to shine like a star. Recruit with passion and determination. Get clarity on your role and responsibilities. A great team needs the right players. Have a strategy for your process. Set goals that align each person's responsibilities. Build in accountability and visibility for your high standards. How does that look? Feedback, 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 and how someone can make a bigger impact. Feedback is a gift. Let them know the direction. Give them the guidance. Give them that GPS voice. Build a culture of coaching and accountability. That's what we do. We help people get better. We want people that want to get better. They're coachable first, and we offer the coaching. And then, of course, execute. Invest in your team members. Let them improve. Lastly, live the dream. I love this quote by Henry David Thoreau. Live the life you've imagined, by Henry David Thoreau. What most people don't know is, in that famous writing, Henry David Thoreau before says, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. When you have goals and you have strategies, you have laid out your dreams for your organization, for your team members, and how they can be successful. When they know what those are, they're confident to go in that direction because you provided that direction. I go confidently in the direction of that GPS voice because I'm confident in it. I know where I want to go, and I can't wait to get to that location and meet the next people and talk to them. So I love it. That's my dream. That's where I'm going. I'm going to my dream to be with people and help them. So that is the life I've imagined. And then lastly, of course, is as you simplify your life, the law of the universe will be simpler. When you lay out that role and responsibility for each of your team members, it becomes very simple. This is what I need to focus on. And I don't need to worry about all those external things about who's getting promoted when I'm not, and what somebody else's job and whether they do well at it or not. It's not my position. Everything gets simpler because I just need to know how I become successful and how my organization becomes a winner, right? Lastly, you celebrate the journey along the way. We're going to have lots of things along the way to celebrate, and it's a journey. So celebrate them. Always build time for that, for your organization, for your team, for getting better, and celebrate those little victories along the way. There'll be many if you're watching for them. Join us again Friday the 28th. In 2 weeks, we'll have another webinar, and excited for you to be here. For you, if you're looking to come to learn about how do we win as an organization, how do we build that sustainable organization and win with great teams? How do I, as a leader, develop my leadership team? I'm here coming from my background to talk about that into Madrid, into Bilbao, and into Barcelona. We're going to have a fun event, and always welcome you to join the VIP event. We have a beautiful private dinner the night before. We get some one-on-one time together. After the event, I do a one-on-one coaching session with VIPs, which is worth at least €500 for that one meeting. So it's going to be a great time to be a part of the VIP event and great networking with some other people. And so always welcome you there for some fun and fellowship, and it will be a super time. And if you are now looking to support these kids, we have a great discount right now. If you're in the workshop, you can come to the workshop. We're offering massive discounts before June 1st. I think currently we're at $249 for the workshop, $399. Those are regularly much more. You have a $399 regular workshop and a $599 VIP, which is standard for us. In addition, if you are on today and you're hearing this for the first time, you can use the discount code May14 and get an additional €25 off that final price. So we love you to join us. Support these young entrepreneurs, these student entrepreneurs from MTA and Riven. If you'd like to get involved, like Oxford and Journeys and Leadershipity, my company has, and Mondragon University, like, please reach out to them. Reach out and we can connect you with. They are on Win with Great Teams on LinkedIn. You can find them there. You can find us at Leadershipity on LinkedIn, Trent M. Clark. You have all sorts of places where you can find us. So lastly, to finish, let's, if there are any questions and answers that we have to go through, I'm happy to do that. Now, Juan or Nissa, do you have questions for me as we lean in? Anything about the workshop or anything about the content today?
I have a question about the content. Like, how can I change an individual player to a team player?
That's a great question, Juan. That's not easy, right? People who are self-focused and not others focused are a challenge. And that's huge as you look at part of your quarterly review. If you're looking to bring me into being a better team player, the first thing I do is I'll ask you, Juan, to show me examples of what team player looks like for your organization. What does that mean to you? Like, and maybe you have examples from other team members who are really good. Like, hey, look at Nakani and how she did this the other day for the whole team. She stepped in and did this. Like, that is really high quality team player. We are looking for more behaviors like that from you, Trent. You could show your team spirit by getting involved. You have this skill, and maybe you could show us all as a team how to do that and teach us that so we can all get better in that. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it means to be a team player. And how Pablo the other day considered all of us first, and he let all of us go to lunch while he continued to finish this workup, and he went to lunch late by himself because he's a team player, and that's how a team player looks. So sometimes individuals don't always know what it looks like to be a team player. So give them examples. Measure them on that team player. When they do it, catch them doing it and going, wow, Trent, way to go. That was really a great team attitude, and we really appreciate how you leaned into being a better team member right there. So I think that's the way. Now, I can reject all those advances, right, Juan, to show me like, hey, and if I want to continue to be an individual, I like to say, one strand of a cord I can easily break, right? But when I'm with you and Pablo and Nakani and all this team, I look at that like, now we have a strong strand of ropes, and now we're not easily broken. And so if I want to stand alone, I may get broken and you may be exiting me out of your organization if I can't join the team and bind up and get stronger with the team. Does that make sense for you? Okay.
Yes, it does.
Next question.
I have another question.
Okay.
I don't know if I can explain myself, but like, can we when you talk about the 10 things that don't have skills,
Yes.
You don't need to be a skilled person.
Yep.
Can we consider like being committed a skill?
So I think commitment is something that's a desire. It's an attitude. But it is a behavior too. So I think it's a little bit of a combination. I'd like to talk about the difference between interested and committed, because you will see people that are very interested and they will talk a lot about doing things, but committed is doing. You have to be doing. And I think I heard Elon Musk talk a little bit about this one day, as a lot of people would like to be a pat on the back and oh, hey, way to go, Trent, thanks for taking care of that, and they always need encouragement. And he said, if you're a leader, you shouldn't need that. Like you should be self-motivated, and your personal commitment should be enough that you have a desire for something and you get output from that commitment. And whether that's job advancement, whether that's more money, whether that's success in the role, whether that's serving more people, whatever your goal is, that commitment comes in. I do think when I think about the 10 skills, I think that those 10 skills really talk about commitment. If you show all those skills, people are going to think, wow, that's a committed person. And we have thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs here in the world that didn't have the highest skills, didn't have the highest education. They were just that. They were committed and willing to do all those 10 things that required no skill. Just work harder than everybody else, show more effort, learn faster, anything they could do to do it. And I think all that kind of culminates in commitment, that they're willing.
Thank you so much.
Nissa, did you have a question?
Yeah, I can't explain myself then.
Okay.
But I want to ask, if in a team, how do we, if you're the leader of a team, how do you help someone on a team that you think needs improvement, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think one of the key things when you have like one teammate who's underperforming in an area, it's so important to train them up individually, like not in the group, because the group starts noticing that every time we're together, Nissa, you pull me aside and go, hey, Trent, come on, we got to help you because you're not doing very well. And you're always talking to me about doing well or not doing well. So it's often better to be done in private. And it's kind of like, we do this well in school, right? When you're not performing in math at school, we get a tutor and we work privately with the tutor so I can catch up with the rest of my classmates. And so I think that's very important. I think a lot of people choose a private coach or choose a private instructor to do that. And if you're a manager and leader of your team, you may be doing private instruction in a number of areas where you're doing this instruction for me, but for Alex, you're doing this instruction, right? And for Brian, he's getting this type of instruction. And for Trisha, she's getting different instruction from you, but it's individually to help them work about that. And what's really important is you can identify that each time in their quarterly review, how you're doing in these areas, because the team, you can show them the team outperforms you in this area, and we need you to build up to that team level. So let's talk about some things you can do on your own and with me one-on-one to work at that and get better. And I think that's crucial. And I think a lot of leaders make the mistake of trying to get everybody on the team to do it this way and learn it this way. And it's the only way we can do it. And I think that's an error because we learn different ways. We have different experiences and backgrounds. And it's important that we lean into how someone can get to get better and how they'll learn. And I have a bunch of people from coaching that have learned from, I can show them once, I'll show them physically how to do it, and they visually see it and they can do it. And other people can read it. They can read the directions, walk through it, and then they can do it. Other people can listen to someone tell the story and, oh, I visualize that in my mind perfectly. I can do that. So we have all sorts of different learning styles, and knowing your team becomes important. And when you do these quarterly meetings and reviews, the leader should get just as much out of that in being better to lead their team as the person who's getting the feedback on what I can work on, because it's all just great data-driven operations that's going to help us improve, be more productive, be more efficient, have more fun. Like, a lot of people talk about having fun. If we have like these meetings in place to help us, that doesn't sound like fun. Like, when we're really good and we're busy and we're winning all the time, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. And even though it may be hard, it's still fun. High standards aren't necessarily not fun. They can be a lot of fun. And I look at, the example always is of the team who just won the big championship, who gets commercial endorsements and they're celebrating with champagne all over the place. And it's this big celebration and parades, and they're honored. And there's lots of fun in winning, but there's also a lot of work to get there. And that's really important. And so I think you bring a great point, Nissa, about how do we do that as an individual and train them up. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, thank you so much for the answer.
Okay. If there's not any more questions, I don't know how much time we have left, but if there's no more time, I just want to thank you for joining us today. Again, in your chat, you have links to any of the workshops. We'd love for you to join us. Can you put in the chat your LinkedIn address for Win with Great Teams, on how they could get in touch with Raven and the team? I think that's really important for people to see the link. If you want to get involved with being a sponsor along with Journeys and Oxford and Leadershipity and Mondragon and MTA, we would love to have your involvement with this event, these events themselves. Any way you can get involved as a person to help bring people along. We have a great special. This isn't here, but you can, anytime that you do groups, we do groups. You can also reach out to the team directly on Win with Great Teams at Leadershipity or at LinkedIn and talk about how you can do a group, because I think right now they're offering, if you bring 4 folks, you get 1 free. So that's a pretty significant discount as well, at the tune of 20% off or 25% off. So that's great for if you're bringing a group that want to learn together. And lots of teams of leaders come together to these workshops. From a sponsor, always needs for food and beverage and print material, and getting involved with the local restaurants and how you might host and be involved there, and having a group of leaders and people learning about winning with great teams in a place of your business, or learning about your business. So always welcome that. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Trent Clark, CEO of Leadershipity, and I am thankful and blessed that you could be with us. And I look forward to spending more time with you in the near future at our workshops in Madrid, Bilbao, and Spain, and Barcelona, Spain, this coming June. Have a great day.